Hello and welcome to Database Management Systems. I'm Javita Christie, and in this video, I'm going to explain to you date functions in SQL, which are built-in functions that can be used on columns, variables with the date data type. So let's begin. For this, I'm going to use the table that I created in the previous video called projects table. These are all the columns in that table. And in case you missed that, I have linked it down below. So you can create this same database because going forward, I'm going to be using this database everywhere. So now this is my projects table and it contains start date and stop date, two columns, which are both of the date type. So I'm going to use both of them from this table. So let's see what it looks like. Select start date, comma, stop date from projects. This is what it looks like. There are start dates available everywhere, 4 of them, and stop date is only available in one place. The others are blank, which means they are null, because that means these projects haven't yet ended. So this is what the table looks like with these two columns. And I'm going to apply the different date functions on these two columns. The first function that I'm going to apply is known as the add month function, and it is written in this manner. Select add underscore months. This is the name of the function. And now I need to pass something of a date data type. So I can either pass the start date column or the stop date column. I'm going to pass the start date column. And then I can specify how many months I want to add to start date. So for example, I want to add 4 months to start date. After writing this much, I'll be writing from projects. And then when you put a semicolon and hit enter, it gives you this result. Now you can take a look at it. What you have here is 14th March 2002, and here you are getting 14th July 2002, because if you add 4 months to March, you get July. And then here there is 3rd July 2003, which turns into 3rd November 2003. And 14th March 2002 becomes 14th July 2002. And 3rd February 2005 becomes 3rd June 2005. So this is how you can add months to your current date and then display it. Of course, this does not change anything that is present in the projects table. It will still look as it looks here. This is only displaying it after adding 4 months. So that is the add months function in SQL, which is built in so you can use it directly. The next function we are going to see is the months between function. So let me clear the screen. And this time I'm going to write select and then the name of the function, which is months underscore between. And after this, I need to provide 2 dates this time. So I'm going to provide the stop date column and the start date column from projects. And then if you take a look at it, this is what it gives. Now I will explain the output to you by first of all getting both the columns, start date and stop date. So this is actually the table which is present here. Now this table contains, like I said, only one project has ended. The other 3 projects haven't ended, and that's why both of them, that's why all 3 are having a null stop date. What the months between function does is it sort of subtracts the second parameter, that is the start date, from the first parameter, which is the stop date. So it is a subtraction, but what you get as an answer is number of months between the stop date and the start date. And it gives you a very pretty accurate answer. You can see it gives you so many decimal points, 87096,774. So that there are all these decimal points. It's very accurate. And you are getting this result because we are trying to subtract from 30th November 2003, we are trying to subtract 3rd July 2003. Now this obviously gives you 4 months because there are 4 months between November and July. But there's also a date given here, which is 30th. So if you subtract from 30th, if you subtract 3, then you get approximately 27 days, which makes almost a month. And that's why, as a result, you are getting 0.87 after 4. So that is how the calculation is done. And we are getting only one answer because the other stop dates are null. For example, this is null, so there's nothing to subtract from. And so here we are getting a null value. And also the next two rows are having null stop date, so we do not get anything here either. So that is how the months between function work. And notice if I what happens if I do instead of stop date and start date, if I'm doing start date comma stop date. You can see it gives me a negative value because I'm trying to subtract a larger number from a smaller number, which results in a negative value. So it's a larger date being subtracted from a smaller date. And that's why I end up getting a negative value. So this is how the months between function works in SQL. The next function we are going to see is the last day function. So let's clear the screen and we'll use this function. Select last underscore day, and then you need to pass only one parameter, which should be a date. So I'm going to pass start date from projects. And this is what it gives me. Now let's compare it with the actual start date from projects. So these are the actual start dates from projects. The first one is 14th March 2002. And as a result of last day function being applied on this, I'm getting 31st March 2002. The next one is 3rd July 2003, and the result of last day gives me 31st July 2003. And then 14th March 2002 once again gives me 31st March. 3rd February 2005 gives me 28th February 2005. So this is fairly simple to understand just by looking at it, that what it gives me is the last day of the month in which the date that you passed is present. So if I'm passing March in the date, it's going to give me 31st March because that is the last day of the month. And you can notice here it gives me 28th Feb because it's 2005 and that's not a leap year. So 28th would be the last day. So that's how the last day function works in SQL. This is once again another built-in function. And let's move on to the next function. The next function is known as the next day function. This is a very interesting one. So let's clear the screen. And we need to write here, select next underscore day, and the first thing we need to pass is the date. So the date parameter I'm going to pass as the start date. And then you need to pass a day of the week. So day of the week would be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever you like. So I'm going to pass a Sunday here in single quotes since it's a string. And then we'll write down from project. Now this is what I'm getting. And let's also compare it with the original values here. So select dot date from projects. These are the original, this is the original data. And you can see this is 14th March 2002. And this gives me here, as a result, when I'm applying next day, Sunday, it gives me 17th March 2002. And 3rd July 2003 gives me 6th July 2003. 14th March gives me same thing. 3rd Feb gives me 6th Feb. Now, what exactly it is? What exactly is it? So because I passed a Sunday here, it gives me the date of the next Sunday that would appear right after this given date. That is what the next day function does. And of course, this is to this is way back. So if you want to verify whether this is actually giving you the correct value, then you can pass your own date, any date that you like. So I'm going to pass today's date while I'm recording this video. Today is 23rd November. I'm going to pass that. So select start date, and I'm going to pass 23rd November 2020. And then I want to know when the next Sunday is going to come. Sunday. And I can write dual, just like I did when I implemented all the numeric functions and all the string functions. At that time, I used a table called dual, so you already know what that is. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay, a slight mistake there. This is the function that I need to have, next day, not start date. So it gives me 29th November. And the surest way to check it out is to, of course, look in your calendars, and you'll find that after 23rd November, the next Sunday comes on 29th November because today is Monday. So obviously the next Sunday is on 29th, 6 days away. So that's how the next day function works in SQL. And these are the 4 basic built-in functions, date functions. You can find more by looking at the documentation of Oracle SQL Plus. And for now, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.